Hey, visionaries! You are now tuned in to the Starts with a Vision podcast, where everything you do in life starts with a vision. If your vision is clear or foggy, you are in the right place. It's time to go take what's yours, because there's a vision only you can see, and a dream only you can dream. And now, your host, Mr. Starts with a Vision.
Everybody, what's going on? What's the word? What is the word? Today is another day. It's another beautiful day. It's another opportunity, man. And it's another opportunity to become the best version of yourself. And with that being said, today's guest is so amazing, so phenomenal, so many good things to learn from her. Let me tell you this. Angela Lauria is a tycoon, a trailblazer. And the things that she's doing, the way her business is structured, the amount of profit she's able to generate is amazing. It's incredible. And I know that this is going to be so valuable to you. So if you're an entrepreneur, if you are a person who wants to be an entrepreneur, I highly suggest you to listen to this episode. This episode will definitely help you go in a different route in your business. It'll help you give yourself the permission and the validation and the confirmation to charge more, to make more money, to do bigger things, to create a legacy. So, with that being said, today's guest is Angela Lauria, and she is the owner of the Author Incubator. What she does is she works with subject matter experts, create a book, and that book helps them generate sales. So, listen to today's episode as many times as you need to, because there are so many nuggets inside of this interview. What's going on, world? This is Isaiah Fowler, a.k.a. Mr. SWAV, Mr. Starts with the Vision. You already know what time it is. We have somebody so phenomenal on this podcast today. Crazy enough, I found about her on YouTube when I was looking up somebody else, and I was like, whoa. So I reached out to her on Facebook, and we connected, and we was able to make this happen. So, Angela, how you doing today?
I am fantastic. Super happy to be here.
Me too. I really appreciate your time and allowing this to happen. And you specifically work with authors. Am I right?
I do. I work with experts and particularly nonfiction authors. So people who are looking to get the word out about their expertise through a book.
What made you start with the whole expertise? What made you switch into working with authors to working with authors who were experts?
Yeah, it's a great question. So I actually started working in the publishing industry when I was still in college back in 1994, which is a million years ago. And I worked on books. My first books were about espionage. So I'm in the D.C. area. So I used to follow spies around and write books about them, which was super fun. Mm-hmm. And worked on books about finance and technology and lots of good stuff. I've always been in the nonfiction space. But while I was working on those books, I would find my way to Borders or Barnes & Noble, and I would buy personal growth, self-help, and business books. So they were the books I weren't working on, were the ones I was buying and reading. Mm-hmm. And so about 4 years ago now, a little more than 4 years ago, I decided to shift my efforts. Instead of just working on any book, to really focus my expertise and my energy and effort on the books I cared about most. So I started thinking about my legacy. I was turning 40, and I was like, how do I want to spend the next 20 years? I spent the first 20 years learning the art of publishing. How do I want to spend the next 20 years? And it was really helping people who are making a difference, in my opinion, making the world a better place, helping people with personal growth, with business growth, and really making a big impact. So I decided I would focus all my efforts on the books that I cared about most, now that I had transferable skills.
And those were the ones that you were actually finding yourself reading all the time.
Yeah, so now here's the non-PC way that I say that. I wanted to get paid to read the books I loved.
I like
which
that.
Which is
That's
totally true. So like I love like the world of espionage. It's interesting, but those aren't the books I want to read. Like I'm glad they exist. Lots of people want to read about espionage. It's awesome. I was doing a book when I quit my old life. I was doing a book called Windows Server Backup 2.0. And like, dude, I think people should back up their Windows servers, but that's not what I wanted to read.
Right.
And so I was just really committed to. I saw like a Facebook meme or something that said "paid to exist." Get paid to exist. And I'm like, that sounds fucking good. I want to get paid to exist.
Right.
And I was like, if I was getting paid to exist, what would I be doing? And the answer is I'd be reading personal growth and business growth books all day long. And now that's what I do.
That's amazing. And what you mentioned, you said when you quit your old life. What was your old life?
So I was, companies would hire me to do their content marketing, and I would go into a company and I would write a book for them. So like I went into the SBA and I wrote a book for their, for the SBA administrator. I would go into a financial advisory firm and write a book about financial advising. With my Windows Server Backup 2.0 book, I was working with a company that got acquired by Dell, and really working with those companies to use a book to grow leads. So the Windows Server Backup 2.0 book, my job was actually to generate 1,900 leads a month for a product that was $5K from a book. So we did this book. It was actually a book series, and we did this book series, and we were generating 1,900 leads a month, and we were paying less than $100 a lead. And then the product ASP, the price of the product was $5K. That's pretty similar to coaching. Most coaches have a product between $1,000 and $5,000, and they are getting no leads from their book. They think their book is a business card. Like, dude, your book is not a business card. Your book is a way to generate cash. It is a lead generator if you put it to work for you. So most coaches I know didn't have 1,900 leads a month. And I was like, oh, if we do these three things, we can take your book and we can have it generate 1,900 leads. And of those 1,900 leads, if you ended up with 5 clients paying you $5K, that's $25,000 a month business.
Right. Just off of one book.
Just off of one book. And I knew it worked because I'd been doing it for software companies, and financial companies and other technology companies. I did it for a mobile company. So I've been doing it for like 10 years, 15 years, using books for lead gen. It was just books that I didn't care about.
Right. So this is very fascinating because I don't think that I've ever heard anybody sit here and say, books are for lead gen like you're saying. They may say, oh, it'll give me some business.
People always say this bullshit of it's for awareness or it's for credibility or it's a business card. Like, there are easier ways for credibility in a business card. If you're doing it for a business card, I recommend you go to Vistaprint and get some business cards printed.
Right.
It's a very expensive process if you just want a business card. Books are so much more than that, and I think it gets lost because most of the book coaches and publishing companies just don't have the direct response marketing background that I have. So they're just not doing it in a way that's generating cash for their clients. Instead, it's generating, some sort of, I always call it public jerking off. It's like, yeah, you get to tell everybody you have a book.
Right.
But what does that get you?
Right. Like ego.
Ego, exactly.
Right. So you just kind of take the ego and say, is it like, is it the way they write the book that matters? Or is it just like back end things or what?
Yeah, it's a pretty astute question, actually. Most people don't figure that out, but that's exactly what it is. So 80% of the marketing for your book is baked as soon as the book is written. So what most people do is they go write their book, and then they're like, now I'm going to pay someone to do marketing, or I'm going to figure out the marketing now that the book is written. If you're figuring out the marketing after the book is written, it's for sure not going to work, unless you just win the lottery. I mean, you might as well just go buy scratch-off tickets.
Right.
So the reason why our books lead to so many sales for our authors is because of the way they write it. And most people will instinctively write the book wrong because they don't have direct response marketing experience, and they're not thinking about the reader. They're thinking about what they want to say.
Right. That makes perfect sense. And then I just interviewed somebody maybe a week ago, and they wrote a book, and they were talking about everything they did wrong, right? And he was like, the only thing they did right was they had like their back end funnel in place, so they had like resources and stuff. So when you're working with your clients, do you tell them to like have resources in their book to make them want to go to the websites and stuff like that?
Yep. So I use the concept of a reader magnet. Mm-hmm. So a reader magnet is just a type of lead magnet that goes in your book to convert readers into leads. Mm-hmm. But you need to go beyond the leads, then you need to be able to convert them into clients. So we talk about the whole sales cycle and how you're going to follow up with them to turn them from somebody who's raising their hand into somebody who's giving you their credit card.
Right. Wow, that's amazing. And I love that take on it, because a lot of people think that it's just about writing a book and that's it. And they have no type of strategy and everything. And that's literally what you're saying. Yeah,
and that only works. Look, if you have 1 million YouTube followers, mm-hmm. write whatever the hell you want. Mm-hmm. Like, by all means. Like, if you're making your money off of, YouTube ads, or if you're an influencer and you're making your money off of brands paying you to wear their clothes, like, write whatever the hell you want if you've already got 1 million followers. Mm-hmm. Most of my clients are at a point where they don't have 1 million followers. They have like 300 people on their list, and they're trying to figure out how to turn those 300 people into revenue.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. 100%. And from when I learned about you and I found you on YouTube, you were so much more than just somebody who is, editing somebody's book or helping somebody write a book, right? You literally are like changing their whole perspective on the book writing process.
Yeah, so I used to call myself like a book coach. Mm-hmm. And then the big shift I made is to the author incubator, because it's really about the whole person. So what happens, I was a ghostwriter for 17 years. Mm-hmm. So all the books that I released, most of them didn't have my name on them, or they had my name as an after note. Mm-hmm. And so when you're a ghostwriter, you're not becoming the person who's selling to them. You're taking the person who's already selling. Like, I did this book for this guy who was doing a lot of investing in Hong Kong. Mm-hmm. And so he knows about investing in Hong Kong. I don't. All I was doing was turning his words onto the page. He's the one who had to make the sale. Mm-hmm. What I've learned with our authors is if they go to a ghostwriter, or even if they just dictate their book on their own, they're still not making sales from the book because they haven't become the person that their ideal reader would buy from. Wow. So a lot of it is money coaching and mindset work and sales training and business coaching and book strategy on how do you become the person that's irresistible, that has clients begging to work with them. Mm-hmm. And that is a lot in how you write the book. But I talk a lot, and this is an advanced concept, but I talk about the space between the words. So I could write a sentence that says, you should invest in Hong Kong. And it's not going to mean anything. Whereas my author, who had made millions of dollars investing in Hong Kong, he could write the same sentence, you should invest in Hong Kong. And it will sound totally different because energetically he knows what that means. I don't really. Right. So the author has to really gain the confidence to really, I call it owning their mountain. They have to claim their expertise. The root of the word author is the same as the root authority. Mm-hmm. And so if they're not really the authority, like, here's a simple mistake a lot of people make when they're writing their book. They have other people who influence them, and they'll spend a lot of their book recapping other people's books. Mm-hmm. Well, I should go read their book. What are you adding to the conversation? What are you the authority on? If you're talking about what somebody else did, talking about 4-hour work week, I'll just go read the 4-hour work week. I know Tim Ferriss is an authority on that. What are you the authority on? Right. Yeah, there might be an idea from that book, but what are you adding to it? What are you what are you owning and claiming as your expertise?
That's deep right there. So a lot of people just write books to be in the same genre of other people, but they're not really writing it for a purpose.
Yeah, the book affected them. Like, they'll summarize 3 or 4 books that meant a lot to them.
Right.
Well, that's great. But you have to add something new to the conversation, and you need to have a confidence and a clarity around that. Like, somebody who's made $1 million investing in Hong Kong has a confidence and clarity because he's done it. So I see a lot of people come to me. We get about 5,000 applications a month to write a book with us. And most of those applications we reject because they're like, I'm going through this thing and I want to write a book about it. I'm like, once you go through it, solve that problem for yourself, help a few people solve that problem, then you can write a book about it. You're just as lost as everyone else. We don't need somebody who's confused to tell us.
Right.
Like, what are you an expert on? What problem have you solved for yourself and for other people?
Yeah. And you said something. You said they need to become that person that people want to work with, and that's what you work with them on. What does that person look like? I know it's mindset, but like to be a person that people want to work with, what does that look like or sound like?
So to me, what I'm looking for is somebody who is willing to, this is a big challenge for a lot of entrepreneurs, but who's willing to niche down. So not to talk about everything you need to do. Like, a lot of people want to talk about lifestyle, like how to build a lifestyle brand. They haven't built a lifestyle brand. Right. They want to build one. So they're going to write a book about it because they're reading a bunch of books about it, and they've got a lot of good ideas. So the person I'm going to hire if I want to build a lifestyle brand is somebody who's built a lifestyle brand. Right? And so that doesn't mean don't write a book, but it means what have you done? So when I actually talk to them and I interview them, I'll find out that what they've done is they've released a cocktail mix into the market. Great. Let's write a book on how to release a cocktail mix into the market. Because you've done that. Right? And so the person you're going to buy from already has the results that you want. And that usually means niching down to a smaller result. So, for instance, I could say I help everyone with a book on any type of book. And so the thing is, I'm not an expert at that. What I've done is I've helped 330 people release a book that is on personal growth or business growth and generate $250,000 from that book within a year. Like, that's the results I've gotten for hundreds of people. So instead of trying to help you write your romance novel, I probably could. I'm sure I could help you write your damn romance novel.
Right.
But that's not, I haven't gotten a lot of people a result. I don't have a lot of famous romance novelists that I've helped launch their romance novel career. So don't try to sell something that you haven't achieved the goal for yourself and helped other people achieve that goal. And then it's going to come through in your writing. And it's all about being brave enough to know that the audience is there if you offer less rather than more. Absolutely.
And something that I want to ask you is you mentioned about niching down and people talking about lifestyle, but they haven't done that yet. Do you think that people think that if they talk about something, it's going to sell? And that's why they do that instead of doing their actual real niche that they've really done?
Yeah, I think they think if I reach more people, if I build a bigger fly trap, then somebody's going to step into the fly trap. But I'm like, make your fly trap small and just focus on a few people. How many clients can you handle? You're not trying to sell to everyone. So as soon as you start trying to talk to a lot of people, what happens is, to me, you start sounding like a Wikipedia entry. When one is considering building a lifestyle brand, one should consider the plethora of branding options available. I'm not buying from that person. But if you're when I released my cocktail mix, I looked for somebody who had also done labels for at least 3 cocktail mixes. I did this for 2 reasons. One, I knew design aesthetic would be right on, but I also knew they'd be able to connect me with other people in the industry I hadn't met yet. So I'd be doubling my investment by investing both in the branding but also the connections. Oh, fuck. damn, like now I know what to do. Like that's real advice. And so I think what people think is, oh, I could translate what I did with this cocktail mix and tell everyone how to build a lifestyle brand. But no one's going to listen to you. I call it the invisibility cloak. So most people, when they're marketing, they just put on an invisibility cloak and wonder why no one can hear their message. And it's because they sound like a Wikipedia entry.
Right. And they're not specific enough.
Mm-hmm.
Dang, that's so deep. And I know for you, from everything that I do know and I've researched, your life changed massively. Am I right?
Yeah, pretty massively.
And
and it all sort of happened at the same time too. Like that's another thing. I think people think, well, I'm going to work on my body, and then I'm going to work on my business, and then I'm going to work on my relationships. Guys do this a lot. Right? Guys are like, I can't get serious about a girl until I have my career in order. Mm-hmm. And I can't get my, once I get my career in order, then I'm going to focus on my body so I get a hot girl. Mm-hmm. So first I'm going to get my career in order, then I'm going to work out a lot, then I'm going to go find the right girl. And it doesn't, in my experience, rising to tides lift all boats. Everything not only can happen at once, has to.
So everything happened at once for you. Was it a decision that you made, or was it somebody kind of convinced you, or was it an experience, or what?
Yeah. So what happened to me was I read a book, and it's actually what inspired my business. I read a book by a woman with a great podcast. Her name is Brooke Castillo. Her podcast is called The Life Coach School. If you haven't checked that out, you totally should. Okay. And her book was called If I'm So Smart, Why Can't I Lose Weight? So I was working on that Windows 2.0 book that I talked about, and I read this book, and I thought, well, I got to lose some weight, I got to get in shape, and I got her book, and what she said was, the reason you can't lose weight is because you are not taking total accountability for your life, and you are not living the life you want. She said, every extra pound on your body is a lie you are telling yourself. So as I got real serious about what lies I was telling myself, I started to lose weight, and I started to get a lot more comfortable working in kind of the corporate world, kind of selling my soul as a ghostwriting shill. And then I started working with clients who were really aligned with what I was passionate about. And the more aligned my clients were, the easier it was to lose weight. And then I started making a whole lot of money. So I had a whole lot of money. I had a whole lot of clients. I was a lot happier. I lost weight. And not surprisingly, I attracted the most amazing man who is like my perfect partner. And obviously I did, because like I was fucking awesome, right? Like I had a job I loved. I looked amazing. I was super happy. My mindset was great. We got married about 2 years ago, and then we bought a huge castle. It's on the Potomac River. It's a conference facility. It has a ballroom. It's where I do all my events.
Really?
And as we moved into the castle, I noticed my client base was growing. I was able to raise my rates, and I made another huge investment in my health. I lost some more weight. I invested in a stylist. So I look totally different. There's nothing about my life that's the same. But it wasn't one thing separately. It was all happening at once. I was focused on living my best life, and that showed up everywhere, in my career, in my health, in my relationships.
That's very, very, very deep. And just the way that everything came together, and it's all like working in unison, and it's all synergistically, flowing, right?
Yeah, and it does. It's I always say it's iterative. Like the more you see it working, the more you want to do. So just to give people a sense, 4 years ago, I was 315 pounds. I was single. I had 2 roommates. I lived with my kid, and then I had 2 roommates, one of whom had a kid, so it was actually 3 roommates. I was making a couple $100,000 a year helping people on their books. So it's like not terrible money. So now I'm like 160 pounds. I'm in a size 8. I'm married. I live in a castle. We'll do $6 million this year. We were on the Inc. 500 list. We're the 285th fastest growing private company in America right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I went from having 40 clients a year to now we do about 240.
That's amazing.
In 4 years.
And all that happened within 4 years.
Yep.
Okay. And so how do you go from being where you were to, having 5,000 applications per month? Like, what would you say was the biggest difference? Was it just simply how you presented yourself, or what?
Yeah, so I gotta give a shout out to my mentor who really helped with that. So I thought what I needed was to find out where the good leads were. So I was getting 40 clients a year. I needed to have about 80. I wanted to double my revenue because of my expenses. So when I was making about $200,000, I had about $209,000 in expenses. Mm-hmm. So now our profit margins are about 41%.
Okay.
And I thought the solution to my problem was to find out where the good leads are. Mm-hmm. I thought maybe they were on LinkedIn, or I needed to figure out Facebook advertising. I'm like, where are the good leads? Maybe I need to figure out how to do JVs. But that was my big question. Where are the good leads? So I asked the guy, his name is Kevin Nation. Mm-hmm. I said, where are the good leads? And he's like, I'll tell you where the good leads are. Sign up for my program. So I signed up to work with him. And I'm like, okay, now tell me where the good leads are. And he said, the good leads are right where you're looking. You haven't shown up.
Whoa.
And the big difference was the way that Kevin taught me how to lead. All of the leads were right in front of me. They were sitting under my nose. They just couldn't see me because I was all over the map. I was trying 10 or 20 different things. I wasn't clear about what I offered. I had all these different programs. I had all these different services. I had something for $77 a month. I had something for $549. I had you could do one-on-one coaching for $150. I had a publishing program that was $1,000. I had all these different, it was so confusing that no one knew how to buy from me because I didn't know what I wanted. And what I wanted was more money, more clients. But that was too vague. And so I was getting these very vague results. I was getting more clients. I was getting more money. I was also getting more expenses. So when I got really clear about my business model, who I was, what I stood for, when I was really willing to say no to people. One of the biggest things that I learned from Kevin was when I had 10 leads a month, I felt like I have to convert all of these people or I'm going to go broke. And he said, if they're not a good fit, say no to them. And I'm like, yeah, but if I say no to them, I can't pay my bills. And he's like, say no anyway. They're going to cost you more than selling to them well. Even if you could sell to all 10 of them, you're going to be miserable. You're not going to have energy, and they're going to be really expensive pain in the ass clients. Kevin has a special name for pain in the ass clients. He calls them motherfuckers. And he's like, the very first thing you have to do is institute a no motherfucker policy and immediately fire all of your clients who are not your ideal client. And I'm like, but I can't fire them. I need that money. And he's like, do it anyway. So I'm somebody, when I hire a mentor, I just do everything they said. And I fired my clients, and I said no to all my leads. And I was like, well, this is a problem because I don't have any money now.
Right.
And as soon as I did that, the real people I wanted to serve showed up.
Just like that.
And it was because I was willing to say, I don't work with motherfuckers. This is who my ideal client is. This is who I serve.
Wow. It's funny because it sounds like magic.
I know.
This magic.
I always feel like Yoda. I know it sounds like I'm talking in code because this is what everyone's brain says. Everyone's brain says, oh, I'm totally with you on the no motherfuckers. As soon as I have enough revenue, I'm going to stop working with them.
Right?
Here's why that doesn't work. Kevin told me the story. I'm going to tell it to you full attribution, but also I may not tell it as well as Kevin tells it. What Kevin says is this. Imagine there's an amazing restaurant, and it's right down the street from you, and they serve all of your favorite food, and you love the manager at this restaurant. And you go to the restaurant, and the first time you go there, you're thinking, this is going to be like Cheers. Like, this is going to be my neighborhood bar. I'm going here every night. This is where I'm going to eat. I love this place. And you show up there, and there's a girl at the bar with a super high-pitched voice, and she's talking really loudly, and she's, like, screaming and laughing and talking into her cell phone. And, like, the food's good, and the manager's good, and the seats are comfortable, but this girl's kind of annoying. But you're like, whatever. Mm-hmm. I'm totally coming back. She's not going to be there next time. So you go back tomorrow, and the same girl's there. And then you go back a week later. You're like, well, by now, hopefully she's found a new bar. But the same girl's there. This girl is like the manager's girlfriend, and she's going to be there every time you go. How many times are you going to go back to that bar? Like, that's probably it. We're probably done. Mm-hmm. It's no fun. Well, that's what my business looked like. I might have been great. I might have had great advice, comfortable chairs, whatever. But I had a bunch of motherfucker clients who were these, like, loud, squealy blonde girls who were, like, I don't know, like doing gymnastics on the chairs while you're trying to learn book marketing. Mm-hmm. And because, and here's the thing, energetically, even if your other clients can't see those clients, they know they're there. Because the way you talk to your clients is sort of like assuming, hey, this might be a motherfucker. This might be a loud, squealy girl. So I'm going to talk to them in a way that's like, hey, just so you know, I won't put up with this. But then you are. So you're out of integrity, right? Mm-hmm. So you have to create a restaurant that people want to come to if you want people to come to the restaurant. You can't just hope the chairs will be enough. You have to actually say, hey, if we have a loud, squealy girl, I'm going to eventually tell her to leave because I'm not going to have a restaurant that scares off all my other clients.
Wow. That right there is like so profound.
It's really powerful, and it's so hard to do because, like I said, most people are thinking, first I'm going to get the client, then I'll be selective. Mm-hmm. But the clients aren't coming. If you're willing to deal with assholes, the clients are never going to show up.
Right.
So you have to say, like, this is a fucking kick-ass restaurant, and if you're a loser, you can't come to our kick-ass restaurant.
Right. Because that's similar to, McDonald's and another restaurant, right? Like, there's an environment that place is known for, and that type of person goes there.
Yep.
Right.
Exactly.
And even from the area to, because a nice restaurant is in a nice area, certain people are like, I'm not going over there.
Yep. Yeah, it's a great metaphor to think about because I think, a lot of times, especially if you're working one-on-one with people, you feel like people can't see your business. You're like, I'm just on the phone in my bedroom with this person. Like, no one's going to know. They can tell. And that's what seems like it's like we feel like we can fool people. Like, one of the things I was doing, I had one of my old corporate clients I was doing some side work for, right? And I was like, look, I just have bills, so I'm going to do this side work. And I didn't tell anybody about it. I didn't put it on Facebook. I didn't have it on my LinkedIn page. I wasn't like, hey, by the way, I still do marketing work. Right. So I figured nobody knew. But that's sort of ego-driven. If you actually think about who would you hire to work on your book, would you rather hire someone to work on your book who this was like a side hustle for and they were doing 5 other things? They're doing dog walking and babysitting and they're doing corporate hustle and then they do books. Or if you're going to pay somebody 10 or 15 or some of my clients pay $50,000 to work with me, if you're going to pay $50,000, are you going to pay that to somebody who has a side hustle or are you going to pay it to someone who this is what they do all day, every day for their clients?
Exactly.
Now, even if they don't tell you that, like on the sales call, I wasn't like, by the way, I do a whole bunch of other work. That shows up in the spaces between words. That shows up in the way they say, like, so how much of your time am I going to get? You're like, well, I make time available for clients from 2 to 4 on Tuesdays and Thursdays. You won't realize that what you're actually saying is, you're not a priority, but I want you to make me a priority. Give me your credit card, but I'm not really focused on this. I'm not all in.
Right. Wow. That right there, I really hope everybody listening heard that, because that's so important. And that's kind of what I tell people, like anytime I have like a sales call or whatever, or service calls, I like to call them. It's really about, I let them know like, hey, this is my life. This is what I do, because I don't want anybody to ever think that this isn't what I do. Like exactly what you're saying. That's what I portray as well, because it's very important. Because nobody wants somebody doing something for like a side job. Like nobody wants that. I don't want the person working on my heart.
And there's two pieces of that, right? There's two pieces of it. There's the telling people, and then there's being in integrity. People can smell that shit a mile away. They won't know it. They won't be like, hey, do you have a side hustle? But they'll be like, dude, that sounds great. I'm going to call you back when I'm ready. And they're saying that it's just a mirror. All they're telling you is you're not ready. Right. I'll know when you're ready because my credit card will be out of my pocket.
100%. So let's really quickly talk about your pricing, right? Because I know that when you work with your mentor, he made you increase your prices. Am I right?
Yeah. So listen, my bills were $8,000 a month. And I had a continuity program that was $77 a month that I made $3,000 a month from. No work for me, $3,000 showed up. That left me with a $5,000 bill, and I had this corporate side hustle that was $5,000. So I was like, great, I work 10 hours a week. I have $8,000. That pays my bills. Now I can focus on my business. Don't you think that sounds brilliant? I was very proud of myself.
Let's hear.
I was like, this is perfect, right? So Kevin's like, great, quit the corporate job and close down your continuity program.
Whoa.
And I'm like, were you going to send me $8,000 a month? How does this work?
Right.
I'm confused. And he's like, he's like, do you consider the people in your continuity program clients? And I said, yeah. And he said, well, what percentage of them get the result that you promised? And the result I promised, of course, was you're going to write your book. And I'm like, well, none of them have written their book, but they have lots of information on how to write their book. And he's like, right, so you're willing to tell your other clients, most of my clients fail, but I think you should sign up to work with me. I was like, well, they're not failing. Like they're getting the information. The information is available to them. Like that's what they bought. And he's like, great, so you don't want to sell results, you want to sell information. So you should just go sell information. Like, why don't you just sell more people into that program? And I'm like, yeah, but they're not finishing their books, and it's a lot of work, and it's a lot of customer service, and I have to do these launches, and I'm burning out my list, and I'm like, I want to grow that, but I also want to grow this other thing. And he's like, you got to pick one thing and deliver the result. And that was really scary because I had to shut down everything. I mean, I didn't have to, but there would be no point in paying him if I wasn't going to.
Right.
So I shut down everything that I was doing, and I just focused on one thing, which was our program is called The Author's Way. And in 9 weeks, we help people go from an idea for a book to a finished, published book in 9 weeks. And we do it in groups. At the time, it was groups of 10. Now we do groups of 15. But we do it in groups, and 100% of my clients finish. I've actually had 330 clients. I've had 3 not finish. So it's slightly less than 100%.
99.9.
I immediately stopped holding. Yeah, 99 point something. Yeah. So I immediately stopped holding space for failure among my clients. And when I did that, my price point changed pretty dramatically. So at the time, I was doing 10 people a month at $10K. Now the program is 15 people a month at $15K. And going from $77 a month to a $15K 9-week program in, I guess it's been 3 years since I started working with Kevin. So in 3 years, I was able to take my program from $77 a month to $1,500 for 9 weeks, $15,000 for 9 weeks.
Is that your lowest program?
That's my entry-level program.
I love it. I love it. I just love that energy, because a lot of times...
I mean, look, the truth is, if you sign up with me and pay me $15,000, you will get your book You will have a program that you're going to sell on the back end of your book.
Right.
You will have clients, because you actually have to sell 3 clients before you're allowed to start writing. So you're going to have clients, a program, a book, and you're going to have a 1-year marketing plan. And honestly, it's an amazing deal. There is nobody else that does what I do at the price point that I do it at.
Right.
And we had a client Sunday, so a couple days ago now, who had an $81,000 day. She signed up with me 3 months ago and had never made any money as a coach. And now she had an $81,000 day. And that's not the first money she's made since working with me. In 3 months, she's made well over $100,000.
Wow. So that's pretty well worth the investment.
Yeah, and what I tell people is, if you're not 100% sure you're going to get a 10x return on your investment within a year, you shouldn't sign up.
Makes sense. Well, wow, this is like very, very, very amazing and in-depth, Angela. What is like the best advice you could give somebody who may be struggling with their prices or somewhere in their life or business?
I mean, my number one piece of advice is to think about the person who has the result you want and focus on being that person. I'll give you a little dating analogy. I learned this from Marianne Williamson. So Marianne Williamson says, think about the person you want to date, and you could translate this to your client. Think about the person you want to hire you. And this is like your dream client. In the dating world, this is the person you want to marry. And she says, write down every characteristic, their height, their weight, their job, their passions, their interests, every single thing you can think of about this person, what movies they like, anything. And then she asked this question, would he date you? And that's what I want you to ask about your ideal client. Write down everything about your ideal client. They pay in full. They pay you $25,000. They show up excited to work. They never no-show. They don't complain. They do everything you tell them. Like, write it down, every single thing. And then ask yourself this question, would they hire you? And if not, describe the person that they would hire and focus on being that person before you worry about selling a damn thing.
Well, look, I think you just dropped the mic on that one.
I know that's right.
You just dropped the mic on that one, because that was the perfect way to end this, and that was the best, literally the best advice that I think that you could give, because that's amazing. So where can people find you at, hear more about you, and all that other good stuff?
Yeah, so the best way to find me is our website, which is The Author Incubator. Don't forget the word the, THE, authorincubator.com. And my favorite page on our website is the results page, because I only care about the results. So you'll see a couple hundred of our authors and some of the results that they've gotten. Most of our clients generate about $250,000 in a year from their books. And you'll see not all of the stories, but you'll see dozens of stories of our authors who have achieved that result. I think on a lot of people's case studies, they pick their best clients, but I always say our results are typical. So anything you see on that site, that's what I expect from all of my clients. And I could literally do a case study with every single one of our clients. And I'm so, so proud of that. So that's where I send them. Of course, you can track down the Author Incubator on Facebook and YouTube and all those good places as well. But the website with the results page, that's where the magic is.
Got you. Well, Angela, thank you so much for taking the time out and making this happen, because this was like so much gold on this episode. I really hope everybody was just listening, and I hope they listened to it 9 times. Because it was so much on here.
Oh, my God, I love that. And by the way, if anybody wants a copy of any of my books, if they just drop me an email, I'm Angela at theauthorincubator.com, and I'm happy to send a free book to anybody who wants one.
Okay. That'll be in the show notes as well.
Awesome. Good
Gotcha.
stuff.
Well, thank you so much for tuning in. And everybody listen, that's today's episode. So go be great, man. Go make money. Go make it happen and go get some results. We will talk to you guys on the next show.
Thanks for listening to the Starts with a Vision podcast. Come get your vision clear at www.startswithavision.com. See you there.